That thing is heavy. These are all of the books I read in October. Hi everyone, I'm Aika, and this is my October reading wrap-up. This is a very exciting reading wrap-up because I haven't read this much in probably a year. I read 10 books this month, and honestly, I thought that I would never see that number again. It's been a really good month for me reading-wise. I guess I'm finally out of my year-long reading slump, thank God. But yeah, here's my little reading wrap-up. I did quite a few rereads, and I also finished up quite a few books that I was in the middle of and listened to a couple audiobooks. So some of those might be a little bit cheating and like reading wrap-up. I don't even know if there are any rules to like reading wrap-ups. I don't think there should be any. I read and I finished books. That's all that matters, and I enjoyed them. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. I could either do it in chronological order, or I could also start with audiobooks because I listened to quite a couple of them, and I'm gonna count those as reading because I'm sorry, but I'm a college student, I have a job, I don't have time to read as much as I did in high school. That was when I would read like a book in 3 days. I don't have that luxury anymore, and it's so sad, but you know, we make do, and Audible really works for me. So I think it's only fair and right if we start with the books that got me out of my reading slump, which is the Crowns of Nyaxia duology? Yes. It's a Crowns of Nyaxia duology, and it's Serpent in the Wings of Night and the Ashes of... Wow, I can't talk. It's the Serpent in the Wings of Night and the Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, and oh my god, did I love these. So I actually started Serpent and the Wings of Night, I think back in August, and I only went through about 50 pages, and I meant to continue, but I just kind of took a pause. And then earlier this month, I was like, you know what, like I'm in the middle of reading that, I should just continue it instead of like starting another book, because I'm already there. But I'm so glad I continued it. And I wish I continued it sooner, because once I continued, oh my god, did I eat this up. I ate it up. This too. There was a power outage all night long, and you know what I did? I took a flashlight and I shone it over the pages and I read. I'm trying to be harder on how I rate books, because before, if I liked a book, it automatically got 5 stars. But now I want to do it like, only if I really love the books, they're gonna get 5 stars. So that's what I've been trying to do recently, you know, just trying to be a little bit harsher, instead of giving everything 5 stars just because I was like, yeah, it's good. But these two, oh yeah, they're 5 stars, all right. So Serpent in the Wings of Night, it's about this girl, her name is Oriya, and she was adopted as a young girl by the Vampire King, and she decides to join this competition, this contest called the Kajari, which would grant her a wish, and her wish is to be like turned into a vampire, because I don't know, she gets a wish from a goddess. That's what the Kajari offers the winner, and she wants to do it, and she wants to be a vampire like her dad. So she's trained for it her whole life. She's a great fighter, but so she enters this competition and she's the only human there, and everyone there is like underestimating her, and they probably want to eat her too. And so the tournament is like the Hunger Games, I guess. You go, actually no, it's not like the Hunger Games, but the tournament works, vampires kill each other, they go through trials, and last person standing obviously gets the wish from the goddess. And so she goes in and she ends up working together with one of the enemies. Oh yeah. It's enemies to lovers. So a little bit on why Rain is also the enemy, besides the fact that they're competing against each other. So a little bit of world building explanation here, I guess. So there are 3 houses, 3 vampire houses: the House of Blood, House of Night, and House of Shadows. So the House of Night is divided into 2 types of vampires, which is the Rishon or the Hyaj. Oriya's adoptive dad is the Nightborn King of the Hyaj. And so the Hyaj and the Rishon are always at war with each other. Throughout history, they're always like, one of them, either a Rishon would be king or a Hyaj would be king, and they don't really coexist peacefully in their same house. They're also characterized by their wings. The Hyaj have the bat-like wings, and the Rishon have the feather wings. The ruling type of vampire right now are the Hyages, because, you know, Orai's dad is the like most powerful king at the time, and he's a Hyaj vampire. So she goes into the Kajari and she has to pair up with Rain, and Rain is not only against her in the competition, but he is also a Rishon vampire. 5 stars for both of these. If there's anything I love in a book, it's a ball scene and also a training scene. This book, a training scene. I love training scenes in enemies to lovers books. I love how it builds their relationship and gets them kind of close to each other, and even if they don't want to, sometimes they're physically close to each other and you can just feel the tension, and you don't know if it's sexual tension or if they want to kill each other type of tension. This book has that. But that's why I love training scenes in enemies to lovers books. And the second book has honestly one of the best ball scenes I've read, like dancing at a ball type of scenes. This has one of the best ones I've ever read, and I love, 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 love those types of scenes. Okay, another reason why I really love these two books is because it's really not black and white. The good and bad, like the good and evil side, isn't super like clear. There's a lot of gray areas, and you feel like the inner turmoils of the main characters, and so much of the romance is shown through like actions and not words. So I'd be like reading it and I'm like, oh my god, he did what? And I'm just like giggling to myself. But yeah, very, very happy about these two books. Very glad that I read them this month. Okay, I figured out what the next book I read was. I actually started 2 books at the same time. One of them I listened to and one of them I actually read. So let's see, where is it? This is the one I actually read. It's The Traitor Queen by Danielle L. Jensen. Wow. Let's try that again. It's The Traitor Queen by Danielle L. Jensen, and it's the second book of Bridge Kingdom. And I read Bridge Kingdom last year, actually, so I really can't remember what like got me to want to start this, because it wasn't like I saw anything about it that made me want to like read it. But I didn't like Bridge Kingdom that much. I really didn't. I read it last year. I don't know if it was like the mood that I was in. Maybe I was kind of in a reading slump. I don't know if it was the book that put me in it, but I wasn't really motivated to read Bridge Kingdom. I was kind of bored with it. Like, I don't think I liked Bridge Kingdom that much because of the world building. I remember reading it and I was really confused on how everything worked, and also I felt like there was not enough movement, which I know sounds really weird, but I felt like it was very like stagnant, like very like in the same place, which I don't even think it was in the same place the whole time. I just felt like it was that way. I don't know. I didn't like Bridge Kingdom, but I loved this. I gave this 5 stars. I loved it. I read it so quickly. The romance is better, which makes sense since it's the second book. I guess I might have just not given Bridge Kingdom the right opportunity. Bridge Kingdom wasn't for me. The Traitor Queen was for me. So the Bridge Kingdom is about a princess who's been trained since I think she was 5 years old, along with her other sisters, by the king, to be assassins. Pretty much, they're trained since a young age. They were sent to this compound in the middle of the desert to be trained to be assassins, and one of them would be chosen to marry the king of this kingdom called Ithacana, which is a neighboring kingdom who has control over this kind of magical, mystical, mysterious bridge, hence the name Bridge Kingdom. Ithacana is the Bridge Kingdom. One of these princesses who are trained since they were toddlers would be sent to marry the king of Ithacana and then be a spy for their kingdom, which is Meridrina. Point is, they want control over this bridge, so the princesses, they're trained. One of them is sent to marry the king of Ithacana, to feed back information about this mysterious bridge that they want control over. And Ithacana is the only kingdom who has control over this bridge. Ithacana is the only one who knows how to navigate the bridge, and they keep it very, very exclusive. this book has some really, really good fight scenes, which I really like. I love a good fight scene. It's also like super fast paced, and it was pretty funny, honestly. It's dual POV, and a lot of stuff happens in this. It also does a really good job of setting up the next books in the series. Apparently, there's supposed to be 6 books, but the Bridge Kingdom is only a duology. And then it would continue on to books 3 and 4, which follows a different couple, and 5 and 6 would follow a different couple as well. Okay, next book that I read, or rather this one I listened to because I decided that I would finish the Kingdom of the Curse series, or what the fuck am I saying? Because I finished Bridge Kingdom, I guess I was motivated to just finish other books that I was already in the middle of. So I wanted to finish Kingdom of the Wicked, and I've read the first 2 books. I have yet to read Kingdom of the Feared. Actually, I started it this month, but so I listened to Kingdom of the Curse. I listened to Kingdom of the Wicked on Audible. I loved it. Also, just like the Audible narrator, I really liked her, and I've never listened to a book on Audible with sound effects before, so when I listened to it and I heard wind howling, I was like, what the hell is happening? But no, it was just the audiobook. It has sound effects. I absolutely loved Kingdom of the Wicked. I've read it twice already before this time listening to it, but pretty much Kingdom of the Wicked is about a witch who is trying to solve her twin sister's murder, and it's set in like the 19th century Italy. This book makes me really hungry. There's a lot of descriptions of foods, and oh my god, I love Italian food. It's like my favorite thing to eat. Every single time I've reread this book, I get so hungry. So, plot. Girl named Amelia is trying to solve her twin sister's murder. Amelia's a witch, and while she's trying to solve her twin sister's murder, she accidentally summons a demon. And the demon turns out to be one of the Malvaci, which is the 7 Princes of Hell, and the 7 Princes of Hell is based off of the 7 deadly sins. So there's the Prince of Wrath, Prince of Pride, and whatever. So Amelia accidentally summons Prince of Wrath. Do you see that? Do you see that? That's the Prince of Wrath right there. I wouldn't be mad if I summoned him. So yeah, this is an enemies to lovers book because the witches have always been warned how dangerous, obviously, the Princes of Hell and demons are. And here she is accidentally summoning one of them and working with him to solve her sister's murder. So yeah, enemies to lovers, they have really good banter, and it's the type of teasing banter, which I really, really like. I really like the teasing sort of banter. Daughter of the Pirate King has that sort of banter as well. But while I was listening to it, I kept wishing that it was an adult fantasy instead of a young adult fantasy, because it should be an adult fantasy. Oh my god, the potential for the smut? Like, it's holding back because it's young adult, but if it was adult, it would have been so, so good. And this book used to be one of my favorites. Like, I remember, like, it was on my favorites shelf. I absolutely loved it, and I still really love it now. I just don't think it's a 5 stars for me. I think I rated it a 4.5, or yeah, like a 4.5. So pretty close to 5 stars. It's still very good. It's just not a 5-star read for me anymore. Okay, so since we just talked about Kingdom of the Wicked, I guess it's only right that we talk about Kingdom of the Curse now, which also I kept saying for some reason instead of Kingdom of the Wicked. Here's Kingdom of the Cursed. What did I rate this? I think I rated it like a 4 stars. I rated it 3.75. I guess we'll round it up to 4 stars. But I don't know, something about it I just couldn't get into. I felt like it kind of steered off from the original point of the first book. A lot of people love this book though. I think it's just me, because so many people say, oh, Kingdom of the Curse is my favorite in the series, and some parts of it I loved, and some parts I'm just like, what the fuck just happened? Maybe like I just needed to get adjusted to like, you know, like this book and like the setting of this book, but I kept getting confused on like what was happening and what was the end goal. That's why I didn't give it 4 stars. That's why I gave it 3.75. And it's a 3.75 because the romance and the banter in this is pretty fucking good. It's really good. Yeah, I don't know, something about it just doesn't hit very hard for me. And I really tried loving this. I didn't love it that much the first time I read it either. I think I had the same feelings that I do right now. Okay, so next book is also another book that I listened to, and it is a Duet with the Siren Duke, which is a Married to Magic novel. Married to Magic is a series by the author Elise Kova, and it's just a bunch of standalones set in the same universe called Midscape. So I've read the first book, which is a deal with the Elf King. She has another one called A Duel with the Vampire Lord. All the books in Married to Magic is, I think, some sort of like arranged marriage of convenience type of thing between a human and some sort of magical, mythical creature. I've never read like a siren type fantasy before. Actually, I have. I've read To Kill a Kingdom and I've read The Siren by Kira Cass, but I was interested in how this was gonna go. I think it wasn't really for me. I think that's what it is. I gave it a 3.5 stars. I felt like the protagonist got pretty annoying at some points. So for this one, this girl, Elizabeth, is stuck in an abusive relationship and she finally decides to leave her husband. And the way the world works here is that the ocean is filled with monsters and sirens and whatnot. And obviously the siren's song could cause people to jump into the water and then get attacked by whatever is under there. Instead of dealing with that, everyone always has their ears plugged, and when they're outside they speak in sign language because they can't hear because of the earplugs. They talk normally when they're inside through like very thick doors, but they also have the system where they have lighthouses with bells, and the bells chime I think every 30 minutes. It's supposed to deter like sirens and whatever ocean monsters are there from singing and controlling humans. Her and her abusive husband, they live in a secluded island because he is a lighthouse keeper, and so she finally decides to leave him. She steals her husband's rowboat, and they're the only ones on this island, and there's only one rowboat, which is her husband's. So she takes it and she's off to run, and he finds out she's running away. He's like trying to yell at her from the shore, and she's like, nope, peace out. But then she gets toppled by a wave, and then she almost drowns. She like sees like all of like the monstrous sirens, but then she's saved by a siren. He saves her and he's like, do you want to like be alive? And she's like, yeah, I want to be like alive. And he's like, okay, then I'll come back for you in 5 years. So he saves her and she has 5 years to live her life, and she does. She becomes a captain of like I think she becomes the best captain in her kingdom or country. I don't know if it's a kingdom or a country. So before her 5 years is up, she ends up being taken by him to the Siren Kingdom. I think part of why I didn't really like this book is because I couldn't envision it so well, and I kept envisioning the Siren Kingdom, which is called Eversea, to look like Oceania from Barbie and the Mermaid Tale. So the siren, his name is Ilrith, and it's very clear from the beginning that he's not bad, so it's not really like an enemies to lovers. It's more of a forbidden romance type of book, and he gives very golden retriever energy. I just don't love some of the dialogue in this book. I said earlier, like, the main character kind of annoyed me. It's because she kept being like, it's because I'm a captain. It's no, I'm a captain. No, I'm a captain. I'm like, okay, I get it. You're a captain. You were a captain. Like, yes, I got it. And it's like, it's kind of a bittersweet story. I just don't I just don't think I really liked it because when I couldn't envision it, I don't love the dialogue in it, and it's not angsty enough. It just isn't. I feel like the two characters don't want each other enough, or they're not fighting for stuff enough, and I don't know. It's just, it leaves more to be desired, I guess. And I thought that the ending was very not satisfying. It's not a bad ending. It's not a, if you're like one of those people who's like, oh, is it a happy ending? It's a happy ending. It's just not a satisfying one for me. So Duet with the Siren Duke, I mean, it's a forbidden romance. It's a second chance romance. Obviously, she had her relationship with her abusive ex-husband in the beginning, right? So a lot of the story really lies in how she progresses as a person and how she comes to terms with herself and her past and her guilt, pretty much. And yeah, it's not bad. I just don't think it's for me. So yeah, that one got 3.5 stars. Next book is just a book that I finished. I think I started it over the summer. It's called House of Pain, and it's by Carolina Wilde. I started this right after I finished Fourth Wing. It's also set in a school, like tournaments, witches, magic, and whatnot. The only similarity it has with Fourth Wing is that it's in a college. But even in the back, it says it's like Gothic Harry Potter, it means Gossip Girl, and it's a dark fantasy romance trilogy. This is obviously only the first book, and I enjoyed it, I guess. I can't remember what I rated it. I think, okay, I gave it 3.75. Gave it 3.75. I don't remember too much on it, but this book does have some really, really gorgeous art. So it's set in a college for witches called Venefica Academy, and our main character, her name is Electo, and she is half witch and half human. And because she's half human, a lot of people don't like her, but the thing is, her witch side, which is her dad, he was a really like powerful witch, and in the academy there are 12 different houses, and the best way I could describe how the houses are like frats. Like, it's exclusive and you live in your house instead of your dorms, and then it's also easier to get into a house if your parent was in that house before, which is how Electo got into the House of Snakes, because her dad was in the House of Snakes when he went to Venefica Academy. So she's a legacy member. Every year they hold this tournament and all of the houses compete with each other. I completely forgot what they're trying to take from one another, but point is, winner of the tournament becomes the strongest house, and the House of Snakes is the strongest house right now, and Electo is in it. And to win this competition, the houses, it's like brutal. Like, they'll kill each other, they'll curse each other, they'll hurt each other, whatever. So the story centers around the core friend group of the House of Snakes, or the inner circle of the House of Snakes. So the president, I think you could call her president of the House of Snakes, and also her other like trusted members, or her inner circle. And what they're doing to win this competition, and if things go awry or whatnot. And Electo is in this inner circle, but so is Blaze, and Blaze just doesn't like her. I don't know if I want to say it's enemies to lovers, because it's almost like it's more bullies to lovers, but it's also like she doesn't like stand up for herself. Like, she still does. So I really don't know how to categorize it, but like, it's not like oh, like she's like annoying or I don't like him type of enemies to lovers. No, like, it's like they're cruel to each other. They really are. Even though like they're students, they're very cruel. But this book is dual POV. It is spicy, and yeah, it just reminds me of a spicy Harry Potter a little bit. I mean, you're in like a school for witches. She's a half witch, half mortal. But yeah, I mean, some of the things I did like, I liked the spice. I liked the storyline. I liked how it didn't try to make it bigger than it actually was. Like, it stated like, oh, like it's about like this tournament, like in this school. It stays within that realm. It's not like suddenly, oh, she's a savior of the world. You know, like, it's just, oh, you know, she's a student, she's part of the House of Snakes, she's in a tournament, and there's this dude who hates her guts, and he's kind of hot, but he hates her and she hates him, and they're both really mean to each other. So yeah, I mean, not a bad book. I don't dislike it. I don't love it either. I'm pretty indifferent about it. Good plot, pretty enjoyable. I just, some of the dialogue was kind of cringy for me. I like give or take it, you know? Okay, the last 3 books I read, 2 of these I actually listened to. So it's the Broken Heart series, Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Oh my god, I cannot believe I finished this series. So I actually listened to Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After. This was my second time listening to Once Upon a Broken Heart. I read The Ballad of Never After earlier this year, so I listened to Once Upon a Broken Heart before I read this, and before that I obviously read the book. I love how Stephanie Garber creates her worlds. I've always said this about Carvel, but they're so vivid and they're so wondrous, and this Once Upon a Broken Heart in particular like really reminds me of Alice in Wonderland, just the way everything is so magical. It's so magical, and it just matches like the magic that exists in her stories. So Once Upon a Broken Heart, what I liked about it, it jumps into the story right away. Not like too much world building, it's just kind of sprinkled in. You don't have to read Carvel to read it. You may want to read Carvel before Once Upon a Broken Heart if you do want to read Carvel like in the first place. Because Jax is a character from Carvel, but you don't need to. Also, if you end up reading Carvel after, it's not too big of a deal. But I did read Carvel way before Once Upon a Broken Heart. So if you haven't read Carvel, fates are supposed to be immortal beings with powers, and they have titles that corresponds with who they are and their curse. And people will pray to the fates and make deals with them, which is how Evangeline obviously ends up at the Prince of Hearts' church. So Once Upon a Broken Heart starts during the 3rd book of Carvel, which is Finale, and it's about this girl named Evangeline who gets her heart broken because her boyfriend suddenly decides to marry her sister. So she goes to the Prince of Hearts' church and makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts to stop the wedding. So Jax, his name is Jax. Jax is the love interest, and he's the Prince of Hearts, and his curse is that he will always try to find his true love by kissing them. But his kiss will kill anyone who isn't his true love. But so Eva obviously makes a deal with Jax, and now she owes Jax her 3 kisses, and Jax is cruel and conniving and selfish, and he's morally skewed, and he's blonde and tall and handsome, and he has piercing blue eyes, and his kisses are to die for. Like literally, his kiss will kill you. And he's my favorite type of love interest. I love love interests like Jax, where he's just supposed to be bad. I love the world of Once Upon a Broken Heart. It's the same universe as Carvel, but Carvel is in the Meridian Empire, and this is set in the North, which is a different kingdom, and everything there is just super magical. So yeah, Once Upon a Broken Heart, 5 out of 5 stars. I love this book. And The Ballad of Never After, if I could give this book infinity, 1,000,000 stars, I would. If I've never been able to choose like a favorite book. Whenever someone's like, hey, what's your favorite book? I've never been able to answer, but yes, I can answer. It's The Ballad of Never After. I absolutely adore this book. Thinking about this book makes me want to cry. I absolutely love it. It had me giggling, screaming, crying, blushing, the whole package. I love this book. Also, a lot of the romance develops in this book, and it's so good. Obviously, it's an enemies to lovers book because, you know, Eva owes a debt to Jax pretty much, and Jax is, you know, him. So we know my thoughts about The Ballad of Never After. A Curse for True Love, on the other hand, I have some thoughts about. I rated this like 4.5 stars. I didn't love it as much as I did The Ballad of Never After or Once Upon a Broken Heart. I just felt like the ending was a little bit rushed. The pacing was a little bit off. It's just like not as good as these 2 books. Honestly, it could also just be because this book like had my hopes up so high that when I read this, it was just a little bit of a letdown. I wanted more from the book, and I felt like it needed to be about 100 pages longer and needed to have more Jack's content. I just can never get enough of Jack's. And based off of how this series went, I'm pretty sure she's probably going to be making another spin-off for this universe, which I'm looking forward to, but I just want more Eva Jax. I always want more. Good morning. It's actually the next day. I filmed my reading wrap-up last night at like 1 a.m. But I completely forgot that I finished one more book in October. I finished Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert as well. I actually listened to it. I started it, I think, a couple months ago. And the only reason I started it was because I've never listened to a spicy book, and I was like, this would be funny. So I was like, yeah, you know, I've read Neon Gods, I've read Electric Idol, might as well continue the Dark Olympus series and listen to Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert. And that book was just not for me. I can't remember what I rated it. I think it was like 3.5 or 3.75, something like that. I like the plot and the premise of it. So to understand it, you need to understand kind of the world of Dark Olympus. It's a retelling, like Greek mythology retelling, and instead of the gods and goddesses being actual gods and goddesses, they are titles in politics. But point is, they are the rulers of the city. So the plot of Wicked Beauty, there is this tournament that is being used as a way to determine who will be the new Ares, who is the ruler that is obviously in charge of war and stuff like that. So Helen, who is the little sister of the new Zeus, ruler with the title Zeus, she decides that, no, I want to join that competition because I want to be Ares, because I'm sick of just being another pretty face that my brother is going to use as a pawn to for his political games, you know. So she's like, I want to make a name for myself, I'm going to join this tournament and I'm going to be Ares. So she does, and while she's there, she meets Achilles and Patroclus. Turns out she was friends with Patroclus when she was young, and then the whole premise of it is that they become kind of like a throuple type thing. I'm just not into it, but the actual plot itself and the idea was good. It's just the throuple thing, 3 people in a relationship. Also, it's like Achilles and Patroclus was already in a relationship, and then she came in. I don't know. I didn't love it, but it wasn't a bad book at all. Like, if you're into it, you'd probably be really into it. The smut is also really good. Katie Robert writes some good smut, but I think also I might have not liked it that much because I did listen to it instead of actually reading it, and you know how smut can be. Smut can be just like a little bit cringy. Coming from a smut lover, like some of them it's like you can't like hear it in person, but like if you read it, it's hot. So I think that might be part of why I didn't like the book as much. I definitely think that if I read the book, I probably would have liked it more. So yeah, I think that was a 3.5, 3.75 stars. But yeah, that's my October reading wrap up. That's all the books I read in October, and it was a pretty good month for me, and I'm hoping I could keep this up and keep it going, because I swear to God, if I get into another reading slump, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because the last one was bad. Last one was really bad. It was a good month. Hopefully November will be a good month as well. I'm trying to plan out my TBR for the rest of the year as well. It will probably fold over into next year, honestly, because I can't promise how many books I'm gonna read. We're going strong this month too. I'm in the middle of reading / listening to Fourth Wing right now. By that I mean I'm literally doing both. I'm listening to it, and at some points I'm reading it, and I'm also still reading Kingdom of the Feared. So yeah, I mean, that's my reading wrap up. Bye!